Uh, Hi, how you? Okay, still having a few little technical difficulties. Um, for me, like to welcome everybody to the September 5th, 2023 Board of Health meeting. As soon as I get my uh, computer set up here, I'm just going to read a little disclaimer about what's going on. Don't know why. Hang on. Okay. All right, got it. This agenda is subject to change and includes those items reasonably anticipated chair to be discussed at the meeting. Period. Not all agenda items may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So we'll call the meeting to order at 6:07. First item is always after that is citizens participation. I'm on a small phone, so I'm assuming Mark DeSoni may be here. Or is that wrong?
I don't see Mark.
We don't have him here.
I don't see Mark. Anybody else with anything? Any board members? Okay, nobody? Okay, and we can move on to agenda item 3, introduction of the part-time public health nurse, Kate Pollender. I'm going to give this over to Raj to introduce.
Thank you, Dr. Ron. So we have Kate here. She joined us 2 weeks back as a part-time public health nurse. Kate, if you want to introduce yourself to the board, I'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Hi. Good evening, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name's Kate Pollender. I'm very excited to be starting in this role part-time. I've worked as a public health nurse before, so I'm happy to get back to this sort of work. I have a master's in public health, so it's really near and dear to my heart what we're doing. I'll be working mostly in the childhood vaccine clinic. And what else? My full-time job, I'm a school nurse, and I've been doing that for about 7 years. But like I said, I've consider myself a long-time public health professional and advocate. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Kate. Welcome aboard.
Okay. Anything else, Raj?
That's all, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great. Kate, you're welcome to stay. If you want to be bored, you can stay. But if you have other better things to do, please feel free to leave. But we appreciate it. We know you're going to make a great addition, and we can use all the help we can get with the vaccine. And Ed will tell you that he helps out with that a ton. I'm sure you probably even know him already. Thanks for all you're going to do for us. And like you said, welcome aboard. All right. So agenda item 4, appoint Metro West Tobacco Control Project Manager. I'm just going to say the abbreviated PARI, and I'm going to let you say that last name, Raj. That's beyond me.
Hey.
How do you say that?
Thalai Govinda, right? Pari,
Yeah.
Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. And we welcome Mr. Pari, who joined Framingham Health Department and is going to be part of the Metro West Tobacco Control Project. Pari, if you want to introduce to our board, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I am Pari Vallal Telegovindan. I'm based in Framingham, Department of Public Health. My background is Ayurvedic medicine, and I have done my master's in psychology and master's in public health. I had been working in clinical research and public health areas. So past 1 month, I'd been working as a tobacco control program manager for Metro West district. So I'll be covering 16 communities, including Marlborough City and Framingham City. So that's about me. So if you have any questions, please.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's a very important thing that to have this and hopefully you don't, find any violations. So, but that's why it's nice to have it around. That's for sure.
And Dr. Ron, I guess we have to appoint him as agent to the board or as a tobacco control agent to the board, please.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Anybody motion to do that?
I'll make a motion. I will not try to pronounce the name to appoint as our tobacco control agent.
Okay. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right.
Aye.
Pari, I think you're in. That's probably a 5-0
Thank you.
vote. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate
Thanks
it.
a lot.
Okay. All right.
Excuse me, it's actually 4.
Oh, it's 4.
I
Barbara's
don't-
not here. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. The 4 of us are here. It's still a unanimous vote. So thank you. All right. Moving on to the 5th agenda item, the septic system variance hearing request for 26 Strobus Lane. Hopefully we're not too late for that. And that is it Dan McIntyre?
Yes.
Yeah. Dan, how you doing?
Good evening. For the record, Dan McIntyre with McIntyre Engineering representing the homeowners. They're in the process of selling their home and failed the Title V inspection, so needed to replace it.
Yep.
Can I share my screen to show you the plan? Or?
Do.
All right. It's saying someone's got to let me in here. It's disabled.
Yeah.
There we go.
You should be all set.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So to orientate you, Strobus Lane is up at the top of the plan. The existing septic system is located in the backyard. There's a tank right here behind the house, and there's a leaching area here. There are some wetlands directly behind the house here as well. We had those delineated by a professional wetland scientist, and we did go to Conservation Commission and get approval of this plan as well. So what we're proposing to do is relocate the leach field portion of the septic system from the backyard to get it away from the wetlands and out of the groundwater table and put it up in the front yard here. We tested up here. The soils are decent up there, and there's enough room to get a system in there to get it away from the wetlands. The tank itself still needs to remain in the back because there's really no way to reroute the plumbing. So we've got to connect to the existing plumbing coming out of the back of the house with a septic tank here. And we'll have a pump tank here to pump it up to the front because the front is higher than the backyard. We're proposing to put in an alternative system that's approved by DEP. It's the Elgin system. It can give us better treatment in a slightly smaller footprint to fit into this existing lot. To make everything work, though, we are asking for a couple of Town of Ashland variances and Title V local upgrade waivers. One, the Ashland regulation and a local upgrade waiver refers to a percolation test. Due to the depth of the natural material in the front yard and high groundwater conditions, we were not able to perform a percolation test. So the Title V recognizes that and allows us to determine a percolation rate through a laboratory sieve analysis, which we conducted and determined the percolation rate from that. That process gives us a conservative number, but we do need to ask for a waiver and variance for that. The other Ashland waiver is the prohibition on bed arrangements. We are proposing this to be in a bed configuration using the Elgin units. This is about as close to a trench configuration as you get with using this alternative units. So we're asking for that waiver from the ashland regulations. The other Title V local upgrade waiver is respect to the septic tank. Since the groundwater in the backyard is very high, the septic tank will be into the groundwater deeper than we typically would want to do that. So we are specifying a heavy-duty tank, an H20 rated tank, and we're sealing the pipe penetrations with rubber boots because we'll be in the groundwater table there. So that complies with Title V requirements for putting a tank in this type of situation. So that's a brief description of the system. I can turn it over for any questions now.
So Dan, I'm assuming, you know, that the that it passed that modified percolation test.
It did.
Yeah. So I don't really know what any of this stuff means. So, you know, as long as an engineer says it's good and Roz says it's good, I think we're going to say it's good. I don't understand, you know, the last thing you were talking about, the heavy duty tank and the groundwater is higher. I don't understand what that has to do. Can you just explain that a little bit more?
Sure. The backyard is right next to the wetland, so the groundwater table is close to the surface.
Okay.
So when we bury the tank in the ground, the piping coming into the tank is right at or just about within the groundwater table, the seasonal high groundwater table. So we want to make sure that's properly sealed, so we don't have groundwater infiltration into the tank, and we want to make sure that the tank is heavy enough so it doesn't float out of the ground from the buoyancy effect.
And then that's the tank that's going to hold it, and then it's going to get pumped up to the filtration system in the front. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, gotcha. Okay. Great. Any other board members have any questions?
I have a question, and thanks, Dan, for explaining all that. So I understand the leaching trench system, but when you say a bed, what do they mean by a leaching bed versus trench?
So on a conventional system where we use stone and pipe, a trench would be something about 2 or 3 feet wide with crushed stone and pipe laid in it. And then the next trench would be, 9-10 feet away with another 3 foot wide trench. Bed configuration is just a large rectangular area of stone with pipe laid in it.
Okay.
So
okay.
under Title V, the DP prefers the trench system, which is why Ashland prohibited it. But under Title V, the beds are allowed, but it's not the preferred type of system because it doesn't give us good air transfer into the soil like trenches do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is
Ed, you good? Anybody else?
I got a question. So is there anything about this particular design and the way you plan to implement it that should address that problem of the air penetration into the soil? Or
Yes. So the Elgin units are not a uniform bed all the way across. We have kind of trenches of soil in between the Elgin units that allow air transfer between the surface and the bacteria in the units themselves. And we also vent it, so air can transfer from the vent up through the house plumbing stack. So we got air flowing through the system to compensate for that air transfer we lose in a bed system.
and thanks. And what's the expected lifespan of the pump?
The pumps are pretty good nowadays. The manufacturers, they say in the 15-year range, But it's the same type of pump that you would have if you had a well or in your dishwasher, your wash machine. It's that type of pump. It's a small horsepower pump, and they're pretty reliable.
And what would signal to the homeowner that there was a failure? Would it be the tank filling up and not draining, and then the normal kind of backup that you would?
No, we wouldn't let it get that bad. So inside the pump tank, we put in an alarm float. So if the pump no longer operates and the tank starts to fill up, this float will raise up, send an alarm. It'll be an audible and visible alarm to the homeowner, so he knows that there's something going wrong there, and to call the electrician to take a look at the pump. In the pump tank itself, above that float, required by code to have at least 24 hours of storage. So there's 24 hours of storage in that tank to give the homeowner time to respond.
Great, thanks.
Good question, Dave. Okay. Raj, you good with everything?
Yes, sir. It was reviewed. All good, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Can we pass the Ashen regulations as a set if somebody wants to make that motion, 3037, 30311, and 30311D? Or can we pass them all, or do we have to do each individually? Laura, you have any input on that?
I
know we do them all individually.
I did send them out as motions, but I think if you we have one. So which
or can we just say 303?
I think it's
303
the Title V regulations that you is that correct, Raj?
Yes. So
just the Title
if you want to do Title V and then one common as common, local ones, that should do.
Okay.
All right. Well, I can do the. I'll do the three Ashland regulations first. 303 all is one vote. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So so I make a motion, and this is for the Chapter 303 Ashland regulations. Make a motion to grant a variance from Ashland Board of Health Regulations 303-7 to allow subsurface sewerage disposal system to be designed without the required 2 percolation test, the acceptance rate determined by sieve tests per DEP policy, and Section 303-11 to allow subsurface sewage disposal system to be designed without a garbage disposal, with the conditions that no garbage disposal be installed within the house, and a deed recording be placed on the property stating no garbage disposal shall be installed in the house while the subsurface sewage disposal system is in use for 26 Strobus Lane. And then finally, Section 303-11 subsection D to allow for the installation of a leaching bed in lieu of a trench system.
I will second that.
Great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. That passes. Thanks, Jay. Good job.
Yep.
Do you want to do the same for the Title V local upgrade?
Yeah, and I'll just do the 3 individually. Okay. Okay, so I make a motion to grant a waiver from the Title V regulation, Section 15.405, Section 1B, to allow the offset from the foundation to be reduced from 20 feet to 18 feet.
Yep.
Is there a second?
You want to pass them all as a single one?
I think Raj said we had to do them individually.
To do them individually, Raj? Okay. All right. Anybody want to second that? Okay.
I'll second it.
But I heard Ed. Okay, good. Dave, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right.
Okay. And I make a motion to grant a waiver from Title V regulations, Section 15.405, Section 1I, to allow a sieve test in lieu of a percolation test.
That's great.
Seconded.
Anybody? Great. Thanks, Dave. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, I make a motion to grant a waiver from Title V Regulation Section 15.405, Section 1J to allow less than 12 inches between tank piping and groundwater.
Seconded.
Second. Thanks, Dave. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right. All right, so we can move on to item 6, which is Mill Pond Rest Home hearing for infestation of bed bugs and a kitchen issue. So Raj, I'm going to give this one to you again.
Thank you, sir. So just want to update the board, at Mill Pond, we do have this bed bug situation going on, I guess, for 4 months now, Initially, we had some calls, but last week, not last to last week, we had 2 calls, in a week, and one of the occupants calling us crying, that the bed bug situation persists, And I went for an inspection same time, and I found a huge bed bug, And then we had some kitchen issues, there is a roaches infestation in the kitchen, and my impression both of these organisms, mainly poor sanitation, and then I end up talking to Mr. Sweeney, who's on call, then he notified me, or he told me that they plan to close operations for this establishment in 3 months or so, so I'm concerned, given how it is going, that it further can go bad, and Rita, Matt are here, so I just want some assurance from them that this and there've been instances before that Mill Pond was in front of the board, I guess in 2018 for similar issues, So I just wanted to make sure the board is aware, or did they make sure, that things are complied to till they are in business, or, they have these operations in Ashland.
Okay.
Okay, so the roach infestation in the kitchen, I don't recall that. From the last report we had 1 dead roach out in our shed, and from Mr. Curran, and then there was one on the outside threshold that he said it appeared to be a nymph roach, but I did have the company come in and they found no evidence inside the building, inside the kitchen. There was just that 1 dead one inside the shed, which is not connected to the building. And we had a delivery that day, so who knows? Only these bugs know where they come from. As for the bed bug, yes, we noticed this in May, and we found evidence. So I called the company in. We had the whole building done. We spent almost $7,000 and had the whole building done. We thought it worked. And then we started getting a couple of complaints here and there. We checked internally because that's what we're supposed to do. And we couldn't find evidence of anything. So then, you came in, Reggie, for your inspection, and I got right on it. I had them come out, and we did the areas, what they called the hot spots, on Friday. We emptied out the rooms completely. We did a complete thorough treatment, and they put volcano monitors in each and every room, and they'll be back in 2 weeks to check those. So we are responding. It's not that, we're not responding. I definitely am trying to take care of the situation. It's an old building. And like I said before, only the bug knows where it came from. I don't know.
My only question, Rita, I get that you have efforts, this is going on for 4.5 months, like living in a situation and getting bites from the bed bugs, and so much time, I saw the today's report, it still says you found 6 bed bugs, and very surprised at Terminex writing that they didn't find no activity in room 5. When I came that day, it was just in matters of second, I found this huge bed bugs, so there is some sort of lapse happening, like 5 months into it that you still have activity and that resident suffering, so I'm just not getting it, like you're saying you're doing it, but like why then still why there is an activity for such extended period of time?
Well, it was May, at the end of May that we were initially treated, the building. And then we just did this the end of August, well, September 1st. So the time period. And I can't tell you that, but they were in that room for quite a long time. And they found no activity in that room or the adjacent room. What they did find was in those 2 rooms that seem to, we've been doing them almost monthly since May. So those 2 rooms.
There was nothing done for 2 months when this person was moved in, like I'm just surprised. I feel so sad, the person calling, crying, and her hands was all with bites, like how do we do this with seniors, like.
Well, medical issues, she does sit outside in the evening, and she admitted that herself, that some of those were probably mosquito bites. But there again, you did find the bug. So I don't know. Today I spoke to her, she's perfectly happy, and knock on wood, she said nothing. She doesn't want to talk about it because she said it's been great. But people here have medical issues, and they respond differently to different things emotionally. I mean, like I said, I will have them come in as often as I need to take care of the problem. I wouldn't want my loved one in that situation. So yes, I will have them come in.
Definitely, you have to have this continued, because I saw on the report there are 6 bugs they found today too, so I mean, definitely today also.
On the first, yes. Right. Yes, they did. They found in not in that room at all, on the other, in another room that's been a continuous issue.
And regarding the kitchen, I mean, we cannot just say it. I mean, my inspector came in, he found roaches there. And
he did not find them in the kitchen. If you look at the report, there was none found inside the kitchen. None. They were outside in the shed, and it was one dead one. But I have the report right here.
And how about the sanitation? Why there was no sanitation in process, given this is a senior living facility, you was using paper plates. Is the sanitation back? Like, no, what are we doing?
No, we were using, the dishwasher was out. It had broken down. We had it removed. We ordered a new dishwasher. We were waiting for it to come in, and we went to all paper and plastic because that's what we're supposed to do when we don't have a dishwasher for a period of time.
You have to inform us too, right? That if you don't have a working dishwasher, like how do you miss that? Like if you don't have a sanitation process going in a senior living facility, how was we not informed? Like,
but it wouldn't. It wasn't a sanitation issue if we went to paper and plastic. If we were trying to wash the dishes, then I can see that would have been a sanitation issue, but we went to paper and plastic immediately. So we were doing the right thing.
I leave this to the board, I find this, again, for a senior living facility, this much going on, that's a lot, so, but I leave this to the board now,
So Rita, it seems like there's definitely, an issue. I'm certainly no, entomologist or a bug expert, but it sounds like that the whole building would need to be treated, because whether or not there's a
And we did.
or bed bug in, it's got to be all around. But it seems like it's just going to be a continuous thing for a little bit, because if they're continuing to find them, that means that they haven't found the actual source of the problem, unfortunately. So, if you still have bed bugs there, that's got to be a continuous thing. So, I don't know how you mitigate that. You're just going to have to, I guess, continue, spraying, or,
right. Well, we put the monitors in all the rooms.
Right. So, yeah, I've never even heard of those, but then again, I've never had an issue like this. So, I'm not sure how it gets handled. I think Raj is just trying to reinforce, the need for, very rapid response and continued close monitoring. At this point, I would be doing it on a daily basis. I know it's a hassle for you to have somebody out there to do it, but if you don't, you're not going to catch this. And right now it seems like it's a small issue, but it's still an issue. So if these people are living there, you got to do what you got to do to help try to keep them safe, even if that means, getting them out and spraying again or continuing to do it. I don't know exactly what to do.
Right.
But
so this is what we discussed with the pest control company, and what they're using, they're required, they can't use it. It has to be 14 days apart. The chemical works for 14 days, and so they can't respray for 14 days in that particular area. They have to wait the 14 days.
If they're smelling this chemical, they just can move to another area if it doesn't kill them. So it seems like you'd have to kind of do the whole building. It doesn't make almost sense to go room by room. I'd be doing every single room.
Well, that's what
just because there's not.
And that's what the monitors are for. They put a monitor at each bed so that they'll find out the hot spots. And to see how it is. So we did the room in question. We did the adjacent room. Then we did another room a couple of doors down, because we thought we saw some evidence in there, but then they said that there might have been evidence in there, but they could not find any. So we did that, and then we had repeated a couple of other rooms that were an issue.
Right. No, I get it. I think it's just, Raj is just asking for a little bit more, of a continuous flow of information. So, that he can do his best to try to enforce what he's got to enforce and make sure everybody is safe. That's really all he wants. So if is there anything else that you think they can do, Raj? What else would you like to see happen here?
So, sir, I have a couple of questions, one for Mr. Sweeney, and one for Rita, Rita, you said you was using paper plates, that no sanitation was required. During that whole period, was you cooking any food in your establishment, or all the food was outsourced?
No, we were cooking inside, and we were using the 2-sink method.
And the 2-sink method is not sufficient, right, for sanitization? You are aware of that, right?
For cooking items, for items that you cook in, they're being brought to temperature.
And to sanitize,
my understanding that it was adequate for that.
It's not, again, you told me about this bed bugs, I'm a health professional. So you said you did inspection for this room 5, you didn't find anything. You need to have certain credentials to find this, so on sanitation, I just want to tell you that the 2-bay sink don't work, and it's not according to the code, So you need to have a 3-bay sink for sanitization. And if you're cooking, you need to have proper sanitation, especially if you are running a senior housing facility, just to let you know. My question to Mr. Sweeney is, Mr. Sweeney, I know you have like 4 or 5 facilities that you handle, right, of this kind.
Right.
Will you handle? Yes, please.
Sorry, no, this is the only rest home. The rest are skilled nursing facilities.
So your company have four facilities, right? As it's mentioned on the website, 4 or 5.
Right. Yeah, we're a family-owned business. Yeah.
Right. So my question is, will you handle a situation like this in other homes too, like as you are handling the Ashland facility, or will be any different if you was not closing the facility?
No, well, regardless of what we're doing in the future, we're still treating this building, and Rita's got our full support to do so, both financially and administratively. So we are just talking about addressing, these issues right now, as far as, if there is a 3 sink that needs to go in, I think Rita's already had plumber quotes come in. If there's, if we see any hint of a bug in a building, we immediately call Terminix and get people out there. So this is treated anywhere in any building. We try to address the problems immediately, so there's no harm that can happen to our residents. We've owned that building for 42 years in our family, and it's we've been a community partner with Ashland for a long time.
But why do you think the problem is still persistent after 4 months? Like that's something I'm very surprised. Like where are the lapses? I know Terminix told me when I talked to the manager at Terminix or whomever called me, they said you are never prepared. So that was the input I got from Terminix, though I don't see on the reports. But like I'm concerned. 4 months into the problem and it's still persistent according to today's report.
Well, if you go back to May, the entire building was fumigated, and then month to month after that, we have people coming out looking for any other pest, and what they'll do is that if that's if there's any evidence of such, they tell Rita, and Rita will immediately call Terminix back in here. Like she said, there's a 14-day window after treatment, so we have to follow their guidelines. But it's not something that we just let go. We treated the whole building in May, at the end of May, and kept an eye on it. But these things are sneaky. I'm sorry. The building is older, and they've talked about that. It's with a lot of our residents coming and going. We have residents that come from all certain different venues. We have homeless. We have a number of different things. This is a rest home. It's not a nursing home. So the rest home guidelines are a little less stringent. People come and go. They can walk to the store. There's a lot more freedom for folks. They go back to homes overnight and things like that. So those are all those things that we have to keep an eye on.
That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Ron,
yeah. Please.
I was going to say I have a couple of questions. So going forward, I think is obviously the biggest area for concern for the next month. The facility's due to close the first of
January.
We've submitted paperwork into the Department of Public Health, for various reasons, not just something like this, but it'll be January 1st.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, obviously September 1st. Forgive my confusion, but in any case, so it sounds like to address the food preparation issue that you have plans, or you're investigating plans for a 3 sinks to sanitize the code.
Right.
So is that going to be adequate then, Raj?
Well, we have a dishwasher in place now.
Oh, okay.
Rita, that's you need to have a 3-bay sink to comply with the code. The dishwasher is just an accessory unit. If you don't have a 3-bay sink, you're not complying with the code.
And we're waiting to hear back from the rest of the quotes. I think Rita's had plumbers out already, after you come in, Raj. So that is regardless of when this, our last resident could be transferred by the end of September, but we're still going to maintain this building.
Thank you.
Okay, and so I guess that brings me to my next question, which is, so you have residents that will be moving on to other facilities, and there's a bed bug issue. What are you doing to address the concern or the almost certainty that there's a risk of bed bugs following the residents to whatever facility that they end up in. I think that's
well, one of the things that happens when this happens is that entire items in the room, are heated and washed and sent to the dryer. That certain temperature will kill, any bugs like that. I've had people come up to other buildings after May, and we haven't had an issue, and there's been no issue about people transferring. So it's been a gradual. We've gone from about 22 people in the building down to 12. So we're very careful on where in the building it is and how, wherever they go, there has to be, upfront with the transfer facility about what's going on. And, if they were to come up to one of our other buildings, for instance, the plan in place, which has happened in the past, is that they would come up with a limited amount of clothes. The other clothes would go directly to our washing area and immediately wash separately from everything else.
With the high heat drying that you described.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I don't really think it's an issue of clothing. I think it's an issue of being in that old wood for quite a while.
And when do you expect, that the last residents will be leaving the site?
Well, census is down across the state for a number of these issues, and I think it'll be fairly quickly. We have 2 nurse liaisons in the community, and they'll be working with Rita as well as other homes in the area. We try to keep that on our plan to something that's more convenient for each individual family. So if one family is from the Framingham area, we will look at that and expand our circle going outward. But if someone's from Worcester and they would like him or her closer to home, then we would work in that area.
So you said you have 12 residents left?
Yes.
13. We have 13.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rita.
With that woman who came in, that Rajit met with.
And then
so we have 13.
And let's say, in 30 days, you don't have any more residents there. What's your plan for the building?
Our plan is to maintain it throughout. If there's, if we can develop it down the road, we haven't really decided, to be honest, if we want to knock that down and develop the property or sell it outright to a developer, or anybody that's looking for housing. We were talking about it, earlier this year, we were talking about it, single housing. So it's, I'm sure there's a number of different issues, but we'll maintain that building all the way into the point where it's demolished, because we'd have to maintain. I've already talked to our neighbor that does the plowing to make sure that if there's a fire during the winter months, that the fire department can get in. The smokes will have to be treated quarterly, smoke and sprinklers. So all those things will have to continue to happen.
So obviously we would need to be advised once the final resident is there. And then Raj, we need to make sure that both the police and fire department know that when the building is vacant.
Mr. Bowman, we'll make sure, And Mr. Sweeney, I know we discussed this on the phone. Can you please share the inspection report from the state with the board? We'd just like to look, see like what their report said. I know we discussed this on the phone.
I'll defer to Rita on that.
So I haven't received the hard copy report back, but there were no issues, no resident complaints to the surveyors regarding bugs, or they found nothing in the kitchen or with the residents complaining. The residents never made a complaint, but like I said, I don't have the hard copy report. I haven't received it yet. Sometimes it takes a while.
Do you know who was the inspector, from the state who came out to do the inspection?
Barbara Palazzo.
Thank you.
But Raj, we'll keep you up to date. If we have to treat that every 14 days, we'll make sure that we keep you up to date.
Mr. Sweeney, that was my only thing, like I just want to make sure that, right. Again, for the resident, the last resident I spoke to, I was really sad, and then when I came in, this was a matter of seconds that I found a huge bed bug. This might be the biggest one I have found in my career, and Rita knows it. It was within a minute I came back that there is evidence of bugs, and she said there is nothing going on. And to more surprising that I am seeing the Terminex report, it says none again. So I have to come out and see like where is the lapse, because the Terminex report says today in that room there is nothing. And I'm very much surprised, like to find a bed bug in matter of seconds, and then a pest control telling me that there is no activity. That I'm surprised.
So I prepped that room. I prepped that room myself and removed all her belongings from there, and I found nothing, not a dead one, not alive, nothing in all of her belongings. And that was the prep prior to them coming in. Everything was removed from the room, and everything was stripped down. So
I was the case. I need to do a reinspection, so I'll be out and see like what's going on. So I'll keep you posted on that, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask one question? It might be the last one. It's my only one to Mr. Sweeney. So it sounds like the goal is to have a census of 0 by the end of September, or at least there's no intent on having anybody in the building out to January 1st.
Well, I think it will go quick because everyone in healthcare and in the long-term care field, all their censuses are down. So I think people will be able to find appropriate accommodations for each individual person. And it goes according to each individual's plan of care as well. So it has to be good for them. It's just not, it's just not someplace that we just
they can
put them in an Uber and
refuse
send them away. It's not
placement.
going to be like that.
We can find a bed and they can
Right.
refuse it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, obviously, thank you both for coming on. I think all, Raj is trying to do is the same thing you're trying to do, is just to keep everybody as safe as they can until, the place is vacant. So if you can just communicate with him a little bit, more frequently, I'm sure he'd be happy with that.
Sure.
If he sees something, I'm not quite getting, since I'm not an exterminator, if you exterminate and you see bugs, I don't see why there's not a reapplication.
So, right. Well, it's healthcare. It's healthcare, so they can only do so much, and they can use the chemicals. The chemicals last for 14 days. Now, these insects, they still can live during that 14-day period.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's why I'm saying.
And so you will still see some live insects during that 14-day period.
Okay.
But they say they're not allowed by regulation to
No, I
come.
don't dispute what you're saying. I'm just saying, if you just keep Raj well informed, because we can go back and forth. He can say he saw a bed.
Absolutely.
We're not allowed.
Which he may see if he comes in. We're in the 14-day period, and he may see it.
He's just asking you the company, the people that are running it, to just to try to move quickly when this kind of thing happens. I think that's really all he's looking for. So if you just keep him well informed, that would be
Absolutely.
great. Okay. And anybody else? Barbara, you got anything? You're on mute. All right. You're still on mute. So, okay. All right.
Oh, I'm good. Sorry.
All
I don't
right.
know. One of the things I was just thinking of, like, I know you said the area where the patients are, they said they can't fumigate it until 14 days later. But I was just thinking, like, how you still have all the other rooms that are not occupied. Are you able to transfer the patients to a safer place instead of them waiting for 14 days? I don't know if it's most of the patients that are complaining, or is it just a couple of rooms that you could probably just use a room that is clean, that doesn't have the bugs in, just temporary.
Right. And we did offer that to the one woman in particular, and she refused a room change because it would mean putting her in with somebody else, and she didn't want that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody else with anything? No. Raj, you're okay?
Hopefully that gets solved, sir, but it pains me, hearing people crying, and
Oh.
it's hard for me, so that's all I can say.
Oh. All right. Well, we're going to try to keep you, very well informed. If you have any issues, you'll let us know.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Reed and Matt, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. All right. We'll move on to agenda item 7, board member committee / liaison assignments. Anybody give this any thought?
Regarding decisions at every turn, I'd be happy to attend their meetings, and I can talk to Kristen French about that, and what that means and how often they are and all of that.
Yeah, usually sometimes they're on days when we have our meetings, and sometimes they're not. So,
okay.
Or at least that is how I remember it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm already on the for the Board of Health. I'm already on the comprehensive plan group.
Okay.
Well, count me in for decisions, Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will circle back with Kristen and get more information about that.
Yeah, they'll just,
she'll
just put you on their email list, and I still get them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's nice. That's a nice group.
And then what is it usually? Then the liaison brings back information from the meetings and activities and things like that. For as long as I've been on this committee, I don't think we've had any active kind of real collaboration with decisions.
No, it's certainly not even anything where you need to go to all of them, because Kristen's really good at keeping, everybody informed, and if we need anything, I sat in on a bunch of their meetings. It's definitely a nice group. So, yeah. I mean, if there's anything of interest and you want to bring it up in a meeting, we just keep it on as an open agenda item pretty much every time, so you can, transmit any information that you feel is appropriate.
Okay.
If they help with anything, usually they don't. They're pretty self-sufficient.
Okay. No problem. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we can help promote some of their, activities.
Yeah.
The hidden in plain sight thing, which was, a great thing to see. And that was, big a few years ago. I don't know if you had seen any of that, but it was just about how to have parents be more aware. That's really what it was. So anyway, no, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Okay. All right. And if we think of anything else, or if Raj, you think of anything else, are there any other things that we need to, kind of get our tentacles on?
That's all, sir. I guess Barbara have asked, she'll volunteer for the clinic, the WACS clinic. I guess we'll include that, so. And if there are other areas, we'll bring it to board's attention, that if we need any board member involved,
Okay. All right. That's great. All right. Thank you. All right, Raj, you're up again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Health Director. Thank you.
So we have this wonderful event, the decisions and every turn we did it with them, distributed some Narcan. We did distribute 12 Narcans and trained folks on how to use it. Dr. J and Dr. J's wife was there at the event, so thank you. We had some WASP activity at the Montenegro Square. You might have heard it in the media, it was all over. They finally have found the nest, where this wasp was coming from, hopefully it will be in control, So they're like, I guess 6 or 7 kind of wasps that we have found in there, that was making, there's like a lot of them, so I guess like we had a couple of bites also, one of the resident got, then one of our staff member also got bitten. Looks like now it's in control.
Raj, where were the nests? Were
So
they
the
all in the
nests
same
are-
location, or were they spread around?
They have found one nest. There is a clock right there near to the park. It is next to the clock that they found it, I guess, yesterday or today. We came to know about it today. But I have one more resident from Winter Street call about the similar situation. So I guess it's the season probably. That they are. They're there. I guess the conservation agent Becca told me like their life is like 30 days. So it might be probably a seasonal thing that we saw so many of them at one point. But looks better now. I was there 2 days back. Saturday, I guess I went to take a look at there. It's definitely better now. And I guess FNW did a couple of treatments, to control them, and now they have found the nest, that they should be taken care of.
Great, thanks.
We had our second blood donation drive at the community center, and this time they was able to take 35 units of blood. Housing cases, the Chestnut Place apartment's doing good. Only thing that they're maintaining their dumpster area. I'm getting weekly reports from them. I am still waiting for their reply on the road situation, and as soon as I have it, I'll update the board. But other than that, the situation is better there. 137 Pond Street, I have another call set up with AG's office, regarding the property. I'm speaking with them on Thursday again, how to move forward on the property, and I'll keep the board posted. As I mentioned in the last meeting, we had a meeting with the Attorney General's office. They came to town hall. We discussed a couple of properties that we have in town, that need to be taken care. And 137 is going to be the first property, that we're going to be dealing with. All our beaches, Hopkinton Upper and Main Beach, Ashland Beach are still posted, elevated bacteria levels still, and I guess this good amount of time in this season they was closed, and that's still the case. Washukum Pond, we lifted the advisory. The state lifted the advisory there yesterday, so that is good for the resident for recreational purposes at this point. About the arbovirus, we have 2 West Nile cases, human cases now in the state. One of the case was not from the state, but the person got West Nile from some other state and came to Massachusetts, and one case was locally. And we have 96 positive samples at this point. Other than that, we have 4 positive samples, water samples for EEE now. That's a little concerning. I was thinking that this late in the season, hopefully it's not going to come, but it's there, so still the risk of EEE is there, so we have 4 positive water samples now in the state.
Raj, was it the Middlesex County case that was the travel related case?
We don't know, sir, so they don't
Okay.
disclose, usually maybe from the peers, we sometimes find out, where the case is, Yes, they did mention it's in Middlesex, but we don't know which community.
I know that the Worcester one was a senior citizen, but I think the Middlesex County one was somebody in their late 40s. That's why I thought maybe that might be the travel case.
Right, but we don't know, right? Like where exactly it is, so. But I'm a little concerned with the EEE though, but I thought like last season also we didn't have much activity with EEE, though we had like 8 positive West Nile cases in the state last year. But given these 4 samples now, I'm a little concerned, with EEE also, like hopefully we have none, but fingers crossed, so we don't see anything this year. On the similar front, I'm dealing with the abandoned pool on Cedar Street. We had an order letter out to the owner, last month, and have one citation of $100 out. We still don't have compliance with them. Though we got the pool treated, we got the property sprayed, from our central mosquito control program. But last time I was there last week, we still have stagnant water on the pool cover, so I'm gonna probably do inspection later this week, and see where we are, but that's one pool situation, abandoned pool situation I'm dealing with currently. House Street landfill, we almost have finalized a contract. It's with Langdon Environmental. They are from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They signed the contract, sent it back to me today, and I'm getting it signed by other town officials. Hopefully we have that get going, soon. We had a COVID flu clinic today. Did 17 flu doses and 1 Moderna dose. The pharmacy told me that there is a new COVID vaccine coming soon. Maybe in a couple of weeks. So we anticipate to do another COVID clinic, and I have 6 flu clinics lined up for the season. We have 1 flu clinic next week. Next month we have 3 flu clinics, and October we have a couple of them. And I'm open for any questions now.
Good job, Raj.
Thank you, sir.
Question, Raj. Can you speak to us about the 8 Rodman Road wetlands violation, the email that we got?
Yes, sir. So this was last week or so, right? We got a complaint about kind of unpermitted construction on 8 Rodman Road, So myself and building commissioner went out to do a plain view inspection. We found, some structure that they are raising illegally. That means that's not permitted by the town so far. So there's a lot of random stuff there. There is a camphor in the back that's not licensed. There is no plate on it. So based on that, both of us, we have issued an order letter. Our order letter was more for like it can be harboring condition for rodents, mosquitoes, all vermin. That's what we have asked them to correct. Building commissioner similarly, because there was no building permit pulled to do any kind of construction, that he have issued his order letter. And similarly, the conservation agent have issued a order letter because it seems, some part of the property that they are constructing on is in wetlands. So I still have to respond to the occupant, given today was a busy day with the clinic, and I was dealing with another typhoid case. We have a suspected typhoid case. That travel case again, that it took a lot of my time in the afternoon and this evening, that I'm working with DPH right now to see resolve that situation. So that's why it was one reason. That's why it's not on board's agenda, because it was last week and still working on them. And I am going to respond to the occupant tomorrow, and see if they still want an administrative hearing, or come talk to us,
Just curious, Raj, what is the structure that's going up?
So I don't have the proper terminology, Dr. J, but he's raising with these pipes, he's raising a structure, he's building something, it's on the left side of the property, putting some iron rods, not rods, pipes together, and building a structure. And what we have been notified by the complainants that somebody living, in that structure.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Raj, with the pool, I'm assuming that's a private property, abandoned.
That is correct,
so can't the town drain that if need be, and make sure that they cover the cost of that, or because it doesn't seem like that's going to get taken care of. So I don't know how much of an issue it is, but.
Sir, I mean, I talked to the daughter of the property owner, right, who is not living on site. He's in some senior facility. It seems one of the family member, I guess, is a nephew who's staying off and on, on the property. Like, but they told me that they drained it, but when I went, it was still water, and then blaming Mother Nature for all these rains,
Yeah.
So we do have it in control, like, but it's still not compliant, as I said, we got it treated, got the property sprayed for mosquitoes. So,
yeah,
but still there is a risk, like given, how effective or for how long the treatment can be effective, after we got it done. And there's a resident who lives close by who's definitely concerned, and I have conveyed this to the daughter of the property, like, hey, given the situation with West Nile and Tripoli, it's a liability thing too, I mean, if your property is causing a nuisance situation and God forbid something happens to anybody, it's a liability
Sure.
too, so but again, I'm gonna go by again, and see, hopefully it's taken care, and if not, we'll further, whatever administratively we can do, we'll do,
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Right. We can move on to the consent agenda. Anybody want to make a motion to pass the consent agenda as written?
I have a question first, Ron. Let me just see what's up with consent agenda, draft minutes. Yeah, so Laura, this is a question to you, and I don't know, maybe this is just a small thing, but I believe on the August 15th minutes, for people that were in attendance, you don't have Steve Mitchell listed, though Steve Mitchell did comment. So I don't know if we can still approve that.
You can, I'll make the edit tomorrow and you can say with that edit.
Okay.
You can approve it with that edit.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
So I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the consent agenda pending the edit for the August 15th Board of Health meeting minutes.
Okay, it's great. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Ed. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Like that passes 5-0. And move on to the next item, discussing any future items, and the next meeting date should be on September 19th. Everybody good with that? Yeah. Okay, everybody look good with that?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have anything that they want to, try to get on the agenda at the next meeting?
Dr. Ron, if I may, please, I just have one more update. So Dr. J, Mr. Steve Mitchell, he bring us, about the clothing bins and all that situation. So I have addressed it with the building commissioner and our team. We addressed it. I addressed it in our team meeting regarding the situation, and they said they'll take care of it. I just want to update you as you said, Mr. Mitchell, to our team's attention regarding.
Yeah. So how are they going to address it?
So I guess the building commissioner went out and he informed me that he didn't find any bins that had that situation. And I had a follow-up call with Mr. Mitchell and asked him, like, hey, if you can send us the location, if you find, any of the problem, in the future or anything existing, just send it to us and we'll have that resolved, So I did had a follow-up call with him, just to make sure that
Yeah.
So, but thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I addressed that, So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ron.
All right. No, everybody. Anybody else?
Nope.
No, everybody's good. All right. Who wants to make the last motion?
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, way to go, Barbara. All right, everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Raj.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Everybody.